Okay, so today we're going to dive into something pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
A meeting that was led by Dr. Yen,
Mm-hmm.
all about how to effectively use AI tools in the classroom.
Right. And specifically focusing on this platform called MagicStudent.
Right, and how to personalize the learning experience
Yeah.
with this new platform. And so the source material we have is actually a transcript
A transcript, yeah.
from the Magic Student Kickoff meeting,
Mm-hmm.
where Dr. Yen, along with a group of educators, got together and really explored,
Yeah.
the practical side of how to implement this.
Yeah, and I love that we have that because it gives us a real window into like the conversations that are happening on the
Right.
ground. Like not just the theory, but like how are teachers actually thinking about this?
Yeah, exactly. And so I think our goal today is to really pull out those key insights.
Yeah.
How can AI tools be used thoughtfully,
Thoughtfully.
to support students? What are some of the things we need to consider when it comes to responsible use?
Mm-hmm.
How do we navigate potential challenges?
Right.
Things like that. So,
Yeah, and it seemed like right from the get-go, Dr. Yen really wanted to establish this
mhm,
collaborative spirit.
yeah,
Right off the bat, she makes it clear that she wants to hear from the teachers. She wants to know,
yeah.
what are they doing? What resources have they found that have been helpful?
Yeah, what are they worried about?
Yeah. Are there any hesitations? Are there concerns?
Yeah, I like that because, teachers, especially I imagine when it comes to something like AI,
Absolutely.
there could be some hesitancy. So,
Yeah, and it's a huge shift
right.
in how we think about education. And so to have that open dialogue from the beginning
Yeah,
feels really important.
yeah. And she even talks about creating this kind of shared space where
Yeah.
everyone could like share articles and stuff.
Yeah, dedicated to AI and education, which is interesting because it acknowledges like
It's a quickly evolving field.
it's so fast moving that like even the resources we have today might be out of date next week.
Right.
So how do we constantly stay on top of that?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, think about even just like 6 months ago, how much the conversation has changed.
It's mind-boggling.
It's wild. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
she suggests a few ways, to stay in touch.
Mhm.
There's shared online drive
Yeah.
where all the, slides and
The
stuff.
kickoff slides are there.
Yeah. And they were already using Google Calendar
Mm-hmm.
and Teams. And they created this new Magic Student group
Yeah.
to discuss everything.
So really creating like multiple avenues for communication and sharing, which I think is smart.
Right. Yeah. Because you've got to make it easy for people to,
Mhm.
to collaborate, to connect, to share these resources.
Yeah, make it as seamless as possible.
Exactly. So then they start talking about this thing called student rooms.
Yeah.
What are student rooms?
So basically, they're these personalized AI chatbot environments.
Okay.
And the idea is that teachers can customize them to fit their students' needs.
Okay. So every teacher can create their own.
Yeah. Yeah, and Dr. Yen actually provides links to two versions,
Okay.
a teacher copy, which the teacher can fully customize,
Okay.
and a student view, so teachers can actually
Oh,
see
that's cool.
what it's going to look like for their students, which is really important.
Yeah, because then you can kind of
Anticipate
yeah.
confusion or questions.
Exactly. And Dr. Yen really stresses that teachers should make these rooms
Yeah.
their own,
Yeah, ownership is key here.
ownership.
It's not just like, here's a prepackaged thing, use it.
Right.
It's like, think about your grade level, think about your subject matter.
Right.
What are your students' needs? And really tailor it to that.
Yeah, and she's very mindful of that because she even mentions
Yeah.
that the examples she prepared are probably more suited for high school.
Yeah.
And it's like, but hey, K2 teachers,
If you're doing stuff.
if you're out there,
Yeah, share your experiences.
yeah, share what you're doing because this might not be
Right, because maybe it looks totally different in K2
Right.
versus high school.
right. Exactly, and that kind of leads to talking about
Yeah.
the wall of love,
Of love, right.
which is this cool thing on the Magic School AI website.
It's like a community space where
Yeah.
teachers can share their successes, their ideas.
It's inspiring.
It's inspiration.
Yeah.
And you know what's really interesting is Dr. Yen points out that a lot of the early adopters
Yeah.
on this wall of love are actually elementary school teachers.
Which is
It's
interesting.
like kindergarten through second grade.
Right. Like you would think it would be the opposite. You would think.
You would think,
It
yeah.
would be high school teachers. And
Maybe there are more concerns at the high school level about cheating
Right.
and safety and things like that.
and, just like the maturity level
Yeah.
of the kids. But
Yeah, but it seems like at the elementary level, they're diving right in.
yeah, and I'm curious, like, what
Yeah.
are they doing with it that's so, inspiring? And
Well, she mentioned they're using it for reading
Yeah.
guiding and even like
yeah.
character interaction. She specifically mentioned the Hungry Caterpillar.
Oh, that's
Like
cool.
kids are getting to interact with book characters, which is
That's cool.
really neat.
Yeah, and then they start talking about like, okay, once you're in one of these student rooms, How do you make it your own? Like, what kind of
Systemization.
settings are there?
Yeah, she goes into detail about that. And right away, she emphasizes the require login setting,
Okay.
which makes sure that students are only accessing this through the secure Harmony portal,
Right.
which is all about privacy and security,
Right. Keep it all, inside.
keeping that student data safe.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
She even said that when she set up her demo, she didn't have that checked.
Oh,
So teachers could just easily get in. She's like,
Yeah.
but for your students, make sure that's checked.
got to have that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then teachers can actually choose
Oh, wow.
which AI tools to include.
Interesting.
And she said there are over 50
Wow.
different AI functionalities.
50. So you really have a lot of choice
You have a lot of choice.
as a teacher. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then for each tool,
Okay.
you can even customize it further.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, for example, the read aloud feature she talked about.
Yeah.
You can choose different voices, which is great for, like,
cool.
students who need that auditory support.
Right. Or maybe struggling readers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a great feature.
It is, but the most important thing she talked about in terms of customization
Yeah.
was customizing the instructions within the chatbot.
Okay.
So you're not just letting the AI do its thing, you're actually shaping how it interacts with your students.
Right. And aligning it with your
Yeah, your learning objectives.
learning objectives. Yeah.
And what your students need.
So you're really guiding it.
Yeah, you're guiding it. You're not just throwing it out there.
Right.
And hoping for the best.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point because I think.
And she cautioned against that. She
Yeah.
said, like, don't just release these tools
Yeah.
without clear guidance.
Right.
Because it can lead to, like, unfocused exploration.
Right. And potential misinformation.
Yeah, biases.
Right. Things like that. It could even be used for cheating. You know.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, you really have to be careful.
You have to be intentional.
Intentional? Yes.
Yeah, set a purpose.
Yeah.
What are your learning goals?
Right.
And then choose the tools accordingly.
And she even recommends starting with just a few.
Yeah.
So don't overwhelm the kids.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
A few tools, be really clear about how to use them.
Right.
And then go from there.
Yeah, and to help with this, she actually lays out these,
Yeah, Katie does.
like what she calls the 10 key elements.
The 10 key elements of creating effective chatbots.
Okay, it sounds,
It's a great framework. So the first one is alignment.
okay.
Like, is it aligned with learning standards or are you uploading a specific resource?
Okay, so you're giving it
Yeah, give it context.
context, yeah.
The second one is adaptability. Can it adjust difficulty levels
Okay.
to meet different students' needs?
So it's not just like a
Right.
one-size-fits-all.
Exactly. The third one is that engaging prompt.
Yeah,
So, like, how do you get the conversation started?
okay, yeah.
Give them some example opening questions.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
And then specific details.
Okay,
Like, what context do they need to know
right,
for this particular task?
right.
Then supportive feedback and hints.
Okay,
So you're not giving them the answers,
right.
but you're guiding them.
Yeah, scaffolding it.
Scaffolding, yeah, and then varied interactions. So it's not just like question and answer.
Right, different docket level.
Different doc levels, exactly.
Right.
Then monitoring and summarizing. Like,
Right.
how is the student doing?
So like built-in assessment almost.
Yeah, kind of like a built-in formative assessment.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then metacognitive reflections questions.
Well, that's cool.
Or seal prompts.
Yeah,
So getting them to think about their learning.
yeah, that's great.
And then clear expectations and guidelines. How should they behave? How
Yeah.
should they interact with the AI?
Yeah.
And then lastly, an exit strategy and a summary. So how do you wrap up the interaction?
Yeah, how do you bring it to a close?
Yeah. And she actually shared an infographic
Oh, cool.
of these 10 elements in the Teams group.
Oh, that's cool. So they have it
So they have it as a reference.
as a reference. That's nice.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, so then they start talking about, okay, how do you actually come up?
With those prompts.
Yeah,
Yeah, and she mentions this get help with prompts feature,
okay.
which is built into most of the Magic Student tools. And it's so cool because you can put in your initial idea
Yeah.
for a prompt, and then the AI will help refine it.
So the AI is helping you write the AI prompts.
Yeah, it's helping you write better prompts,
That's crazy.
which is amazing.
Like AI inception.
It is. And it's funny because she mentioned that there used to be this
Yeah.
whole thing with educators selling prompt libraries. Like, they would create these
Yeah.
really effective prompts and sell them to other teachers.
Wow.
And now the AI can kind of do that for you.
Well, that puts them out of business.
In a way, yeah, it does.
Wow.
But it also makes it more accessible.
Right.
Because now any teacher
Yeah.
can have access to those well-crafted prompts.
Right, yeah. So it kind of democratizes it.
It democratizes it, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so what about,
Implementation.
yeah, like getting this in the hands of students?
Yeah, so she recommends starting with a student AI literacy course.
Okay.
Like, before they even get access to the tools.
So they understand
Yeah, they need that foundation.
what AI is, how to use it
How it works.
Yeah.
How to use it responsibly.
responsibly, yeah.
All of that, and then introduce just a few tools at a time.
Right, not all 50.
Not all 50, right?
Yeah.
Keep it manageable.
Yeah.
and then set clear start and end dates
Okay.
for access. So it's not just like,
So they're not on it all the time.
yeah, it's not just a free-for-all. It's
Oh,
like, we're using this for this specific
purposes.
project or unit,
Yeah.
and then we're closing it down,
Yeah.
and then maybe we'll open up a different room later.
Right. Yeah. And I like the idea of a student contract
Oh, yeah.
or agreement.
Like setting those expectations
Yeah.
and having them agree to them up front.
Right. So that everyone's on the same page.
Everyone's clear on what's okay, what's not okay.
Exactly. And then they started talking about
Yeah,
like the analytics and the moderation features.
yeah, because you've got to know, like, how are students using this?
Right. Is it working?
Is it working? Is
Correct.
it effective? And are they using it appropriately?
Right. And so there's this new analytics feature.
Yeah, it's in beta.
Yeah.
But it's already giving teachers some really interesting information.
Yeah.
So it summarizes student engagement, like high versus minimal.
Okay. So you can see at a glance.
Yeah, who's really into it, who's not.
Yeah.
But it also tells you, like, what tools they're using.
Okay.
Any behavior notes, like, are they struggling with something? Are they excelling?
Yeah.
What are their strengths? What are their interests? And then potential areas for improvement.
So it's really rich data.
It is. It's not just like,
Yeah.
oh, they spent this much time on this tool.
Right.
It's like, what were they doing?
Right.
How are they interacting with
How are
it?
they interacting with it? Yeah. And then there's that moderation system too.
Yeah, which is important.
Yeah.
It flags any inappropriate interactions.
So you can intervene if you need to.
So you know if a student's going off the rails,
Right.
you can catch it.
Yeah, exactly. And she even gave an example
She did.
of how the analytics for one student showed a strong interest in detective themes.
Yeah.
And so the teacher was like, oh, maybe I should
Yeah, maybe I should do something with that.
do something with that. Yeah, that's really cool.
That's great.
And then the conversation really opens up
it does.
to all these other possibilities.
It does.
Like beyond just...
Yeah, beyond just those core subjects.
Yeah.
They're like, what else can we do with this?
Yeah, how can we use this to like
Yeah.
differentiate instruction?
Yeah, differentiation was a big one.
Yeah.
So like creating different tools with different worksheets
Right.
for different learning levels.
Right, so you could have
Yeah.
like a student room for kids who are struggling.
Yeah, like a help desk room.
Yeah.
And then an enrichment room.
Yes.
For kids who are ready for more.
For more, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then they talked about using it for brainstorming,
Oh, that's cool.
project ideas,
Yeah.
extra credit assignments,
That's cool.
language support
Yeah.
for L students,
Yeah.
like translation read aloud in multiple languages.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot, right?
That's really powerful.
It is. And she mentioned that the Tutor Me with AI tool
Yeah.
was already being used a lot.
Yeah.
And then this idea of loading curriculum materials
Yeah.
into the AI tools
I like that.
so it can actually
Yeah.
work with the
The
content.
specific content.
Yeah,
of
that
it.
your students are learning.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Which is amazing.
And then the most surprising thing was parent rooms.
Parent rooms, I know.
I didn't even think of.
I didn't even think about that.
But it makes total sense.
It does.
Like, why not give parents access?
yeah, give them access to calendars, newsletters.
Right, all the things that...
all that
Yeah.
information. Yeah, and she did say you have to uncheck the require login for them.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because they're not going to have
They don't have the Harmony access.
Harmony portal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, that's a really cool idea.
It is. And then they start talking about next steps.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's coming up.
Yeah, so Dr. Nguyen really encourages the teachers to keep sharing resources.
Yeah.
Like anything helpful they find, share it with the group.
Yeah.
And she mentions they already have a student AI literacy course.
Okay, that's good.
A sample parent letter.
Okay.
And they're working on an AI use policy for the Harmony system.
Yeah.
So they're really thinking about all the angles,
Right.
which is great.
Yeah, so it's not just like, here's the technology,
Yeah.
good luck.
Yeah, they're providing support. They're providing resources.
Yeah, and they're talking about follow-up meetings.
Yeah, either bi-weekly or monthly.
Okay.
Just to keep that communication flowing.
Yeah.
And Dr. Yen really emphasizes
Yeah.
the importance of this pilot program.
Right.
Because they're going to use this to shape the district-wide rollout next year.
Oh, that's smart.
So they're really taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And she wants feedback. She wants them to collect student feedback.
Yeah.
Do surveys, get quotes, get work samples.
Yeah.
And she's even offering to visit classrooms.
Oh, wow.
And create videos.
That's cool.
So she's really invested.
Yeah, she's all in.
She's all in.
Yeah, that's great. And then they wrap up
I do.
by reiterating the importance of collaboration.
Collaboration, yeah.
You know, keep those questions
Keep the
together.
conversation going.
Yeah. And then there's this like sense of excitement, but also
Yeah, a cautious
a
optimism.
cautious optimism. Yeah, because I think
Yeah,
that's the thing with AI right now.
It
It is
is.
so new
it is.
and there's so much potential,
So much potential, but we have to be careful.
but we have to be thoughtful about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think that's a great takeaway
yeah, I think so too.
from this deep dive into
Yeah.
Dr. Yen's meeting is that, you know, they're taking a very strategic approach.
Yeah, it's not just about the technology, it's
Yeah.
about the implementation.
It's about the people.
It's about the people.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think it's really encouraging to see that, you know,
Mhm.
they're putting so much emphasis on teacher customization and student responsibility.
Yeah, and gathering
That
that feedback.
feedback.
Yeah, constantly learning and refining.
Right. So I think that's a great example
I think so too.
of how to approach this.
Absolutely.
And for you, our listener,
Yeah.
this deep dive gives you a really good look.
Yeah, a behind-the-scenes look
Yeah.
at what's involved.
At the conversations that are happening.
Yeah, and it's not just for educators. Like
Yeah.
anyone who's interested in
The future of learning.
the future of learning should be paying attention to this.
Yeah, should be paying attention to this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think it leaves us with a really big question,
It does.
which is, as AI becomes more and more a part of our lives,
Yeah.
how are our roles
Yeah.
as learners and educators going to change?
Yeah. How do we adapt?
Yeah.
How do we make sure the technology enhances learning
Right.
and doesn't replace
Doesn't replace those human elements.
those essential human elements of
Yeah.
connection and critical thinking?
Right. And what does personalized learning even mean
Yeah, what does it even mean anymore
in this new world?
in this AI-powered world?
Yeah. So I think
So much to think about.
so much to think about. Yeah. And we're just at the beginning of this conversation.
We are.
So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for being here.